Today we're going to be talking about personal budgets. You can find budget amounts and percents from a circle graph or from a table. The Antico family's monthly budget income is $5,000. So if we look at the circle graph, we can see that we have different descriptions of money that is spent. And some of them have percents, as we see here with the emergency fund, 4%. And some of them have money values of rent is $1,250. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to fill in this table. We need to remember when we work with percents, we always want to remember that we have percent over 100 equals part over whole. Okay. Sorry about that. That's a little messy. Part over whole. So for the first part, we have rent. We know that the amount is $1,250. So that's going to be my part. My percent is what I do not know. So it'll be X over 100. My part is $1,250. And my whole is the income, $5,000. So we are going to solve our proportion. So we want to do our cross products. So remember, we multiply by 100, our decimal will move 2 places to the right. So 1,250 becomes 125,000, and that will be equal to 5,000x. So now to isolate our variable, we want to divide both sides by 5,000. And remember, we talked about how we can move our decimal. So we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 1,000 and move our decimal 3 places to the left in the numerator and the denominator. So if we do that, we'll end up with 125 over 5. And our 5,000s have canceled out, so we're left with x. So then when we do our division, 125 divided by 5, 5 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract and get 2. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times. Multiply 5 times 5 to get 25. So you get a remainder of 0. So your answer is going to be 25. Our variable was over the 100, so this answer is going to need a percent. So the answer is going to be 25%. Now you'll notice that the next one for taxes, we have $800 and 16%. So the taxes right here is 16%, and this one was done for you. They showed you that that one is going to be $1,800. So if we were setting that up, it would have been 16 over 100 equals x over 5,000, and then when we work that out, 800 is what we would get. All right, so now we're going to do food. So if we look at food, food is 14%. So we're going to do 14 over 100 equals x over 5,000. Okay, now remember, we can do our percent proportion. We can also take our percent and change it to a decimal. So when you do that, you're dividing by 100, so your decimal moves 2 places to the left. So 14% written as a decimal is 0.14. So if we take the part, which is the $5,000, we can multiply that by 0.14, and that will give us our amount as well. So we have 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 5 is 20. We need a 0 placeholder. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, and 1 times 5 is 5. So we can add that up. That's going to be 0, and this is going to give me a 7. I have 2 decimal places, so I need to kick it back into. So that answer is going to be $700. Is going to be the amount of money that's spent on food, which is 14% of their budget income, which is $5,000. Now you'll notice on the savings, they're both blank. So what we're going to need to do is figure out what is the percent that's going to go right here. So all of these percents need to equal 100%. So we can add them up. So we have 16 and 14% is 30%. And so 25% and 30% would give me 55%. So then I have 4 and 8, which would be 12%. So now I'm at 67%. Plus 15 plus 6 plus 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. So let's do plus 25%. So that's going to give me 2K. That's going to give me 92% if I add up all of the percents that I have. So then I'm going to do 100 minus 92, and that's going to give me 8%. So I know that this missing piece right here, the savings, is going to be 8%. So now remember, I can set up my proportion. I can do 8 over 100 equals X over 5,000 to determine how much of the budget is spent on savings. I can also take my percent, 8%, change it to a decimal, which would be decimal point 0.08, and I can take the $5,000 budget and multiply it by decimal point 0.08 and get my answer. 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 5 is 40. I need to kick out my decimal 2 places. I need to kick it back in 2 places. And then that says that 8% of the $5,000 is $400. So $400 is spent for used for savings each month. So they're putting that in the savings. All right, let's look at credit card. Credit card is 4%. So I'm going to take the $5,000. I'm going to take my percent and change it to a decimal. I'm dividing by 100, so my decimal moves 2 places to the left, so I have decimal point 0.04. And then I multiply. 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 5 is 20. Kick out my decimal 2 places, kick it back in 2 places, and so 4% is $200, and that's what's spent on the credit card. Clothing is 8%. Well, I've already done 8% right here with savings. Notice that savings was 8%. So clothing is also 8%, so that's going to be $400 also. I don't need to do that again. Medical was done for us. We have $750, which is 15%. So now let's figure out what 6% is. For transportation, so I'm going to take my $5,000 and I'm going to multiply it by decimal point 0.06. I took my 6% and changed it to a decimal. 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 5 is 30. Kick my decimal out 2 places, kick it back in 2 places, so my answer is going to be $300. And then we will notice that emergency is 4%, and so is credit card. So that is going to be $200. We would not need to figure that out again. So using your percent proportion, you can set it up. Percent over 100 equals part over whole, and then you are able to solve for your missing piece. If you take your percent and change it to a decimal, you can multiply that by the whole, which is the $5,000, and get your amount. You can use the Antico's monthly income of $5,000 and the percent of income to find the amount. 16% of $5,000 is $800. You can use the monthly income and dollar amount to find the percent. $750 is X percent of $5,000. 750 is 5,000X, or X is equal to 0.15. Number 8, name 3 items in the budget whose sum equals taxes. Okay, well, the taxes are $800. So we want to find 3 items that total $800. So the savings is $400. And the credit card is $200. And the emergency fund is $200. So 400 plus 200 plus 200 would equal 800. So that is one answer. And you may find another answer that works. You just want to make sure that you list your items and put the dollar amount below, and make sure it adds up to $800. What item does the sum of medical, transportation, and emergency fund equal? All right, so let's look at our medical fund. So our medical fund, looking back at our chart, was $750. Our transportation was $300. And our emergency fund was $200. So we want to add all that together. 750, 300 plus 200 is going to give me $1,250. And if we look back, that was the amount of the rent.